Welcome to our second video of 8th grade science for the 2020-2021 virtual science classroom. I want to welcome you again. Today, we're not actually going to be doing science. We're going to be learning how to set up the Google Chromebook so that it's easier for you to find your lessons and do your work in Google Classroom. First thing we want to do is make sure that we're controlling how Google Chrome downloads files and asks us where we want to save them. So we're going to open up Google Chrome. We're going to go over here to the side where the three dots are. We're going to come down to Settings. We're going to click over here on the left-hand side on Advanced. And what we're interested in are downloads. I've already changed mine. You see how this is blue? Yours may be gray. If it's gray like this, you need to click on it so that it's blue. What it says right here is ask where to save each file before downloading. So when you have to download something from Google Classroom, you want to be able to control where you put it. If it's for civics, you want to put it in a civics folder. If it's for science, you want to be able to put it in a science folder. For English or math, you want to be able to put your work in a separate folder so that you can find it later. Now, because we are going to be downloading this stuff, we need to create some files on the Google Chromebook where it's going to save the downloaded materials. So we want to click on Files. And see, right now there's just downloads and there's no folders in here. So there's no way for you to really organize your work. We're going to come over here where the three dots are. We're going to click on that. We're going to come down here to the second thing where it says New Folder. Right now this is highlighted so we can give the new folder a new name. And I want to call it 8th grade science. Enter, and I'm done. There's my new folder. If your civics teacher told her to make a folder for civics, you could go ahead and do that now, and for English and for math. Now, a lot of your work this year for not just me, but for your other teachers, it's going to be in Google Slides and in Google Docs. Right now, it would be kind of hard to find where they are on Drive. To make that easier for you, we're going to create a shortcut. And we're going to put the shortcut down here on the shelf. So we want to shortcut to Google Slides. So we're going to come over here to where these 9 dots are. We're going to click on the apps. We're going to open up Google Slides. Over here where the 3 dots are, we're going to click on that. We're going to come down here to where it says More Tools. And the second thing down here says Create Shortcut. We're going to go ahead and click on Create Shortcut. A little window will pop up and it says Google Slides, and that's just perfect already. So all we have to do is create. We're going to come over here to the 9 dots again, because we also want one for Google Docs. We're going to click on the Google Docs icon. We're going to go over here to the 3 dots. We're going to come down here where it says More Tools and Create Shortcut. The description up here already shows a little Google Doc icon, and it says Google Docs, so we can just click Create. Now they're not showing up here on the shelf yet. All of your apps, you'll find them if you click on this little empty round circle that says Launcher. And if you click the up arrow, it'll show all the ones that are already installed on your Chromebook. Right now, because I'm working on 2 different computers to be able to show you this, this isn't as clear, but it should be with a little white square in the middle. You're going to left click on that, and the second thing down says Pin to the Shelf. You're going to click on that, and there it appeared on the shelf. You're going to do the same thing for the Google Doc. You're going to click on it, and the second thing down says pin to the shelf, and there it appeared. And we can minimize that again, and if we want to find Google Slides that were assigned to us or Google Docs that were assigned to us, they'll be right here, and all we have to do is click on this. The next thing I want to talk about is how your Google Classroom will be set up each week. So we're going to click on the Google Classroom icon, and you should have already received your class code and joined. In order to be able to teach you about this today, I made a fake science class that all the science teachers have been using. So I'm going to click on my science class, and I'm going to click on classwork. And I'm going to come down here to the lessons that you should be seeing for this week. The first thing you usually see is week 1 lesson plans and overview. So you're going to click on that, and it shows that it's made one just specifically for me. And I'm going to click on that, and it's going to open it up. Whenever you do this, if you work online or offline at the hotspot, you need to make sure that you click on Make Available Offline. That way, if something happens to the internet at home, or if you have to work at a hotspot and download things and you'll be working at home, you'll still be able to use this document, and when you go back to the hotspot or you hook to the internet, it'll automatically upload it back into your online Google Drive. Okay. Now each day they'll say this one is for the first 5 days. They'll say week 1, day 1, and it'll tell you to watch the video. And it says the video covers page 1 and 2 of your notes, so you'll be doing that with me, and we'll be doing that together. And then it says open PS01 metric conversion practice in the notes, and in Google Classroom or the PDF for download. Some of you may not be able to open up Google Forms at home. They don't allow, Google Forms does not allow you to work offline. So I've made a workaround for you. You're going to be answering the questions in PDF. And then when you get back to the hotspot, you'll already have the answers, and you'll submit it in a Google form. Now, back here in our classroom, you'll also see a lesson that says, or a tab that says materials for download if you work offline. Even if you have streaming internet, you can still download this stuff to your computer. But specifically for students who don't have streaming internet and have to use a hotspot or have to go to somebody else's house to access the internet, and you need to be able to do this stuff when you're not connected to the internet, you'll click on materials for download, and everything you'll see is one says week 1 zip file, and you'll click on that. Now it shows us all the things that are in that zip file. Readings for chapter 1, the do nows that I said you would be working on. These files you're going to be editing in a PDF. And when you get back to the hotspot, you'll already have the answers to input into Google Forms. There's also a video that I put in here for you to watch about the triple beam balance. When your daily lesson plan says to watch that video, okay, you're going to click on that and you'll watch the video. So all you have to do is click on this, when it's on the hard drive, and it'll open it up and you'll be able to watch the video. Now, we changed the settings in Google Chrome to ask us where we want to put download files. So we need to store this thing on the hard drive of the Chromebook so that you can access it at home even if you're not connected to the internet. So we're going to click on Downloads. And because we changed that setting, that was the first thing we did today, it's going to say, where do I want to put it? And I want to put it in 8th grade science, and we're going to save it there. Back in my files, on the hard drive, in Downloads, and in 8th grade science, I see that week 1 zip file. And there's the video that I showed you about. So when your daily lesson plan says you need to watch this video, if you can't see it online, you can just click on it. And then this exciting video about how to read the 3D balance.
All you need to do is add the masses from the three.
This exciting video on how to read the 3D balance, triple beam balance will come up. Your lesson plan will say to open PSO1 metric conversion for practice. So you look in here and you find a file that says exactly that. You open it up. And if you have to work offline, you can put your answers in here directly. So you'll be able to edit this PDF. And when you're done editing it, you'll be able to save it on the hard drive of the Chromebook. I've made an example of one we're going to do today. And also this will be included in your first lesson. So we're going to come back here to Google Classroom. Oh, I'm sorry, one other thing. Each week there'll be a study packet. If you work offline, you need to make sure before you leave the hotspot that you click on the study packet. And you need to come over here to the file setting and make sure it says make available offline. Now, if I say in the daily lesson plan to work on this, okay, you're going to, because it's a Google slide, and this is why we added this icon down here. You just click on Google Slides, and you'll find it right here. Now, sometimes when you work in these Google Slides, okay, and there's usually going to be an index here at the beginning, and say go to slide 2. And usually it's good if you sometimes there's a toolbar down here at the bottom that you should minimize to make this easier. Sometimes there's a side panel and you can get rid of that so you have more work area here. And if this is hard to read and you're having trouble seeing it, sorry, I bumped this. If you're having trouble seeing this, you can go over here to where it says zoom, and a little drop down. I want to make it bigger, 100%, or I can hit this and make it even bigger still. Now, I actually ended up making it too big and I can't see it, so I'm going to go back to 100%. Some of the Google Slides will have information that you need to put directly in here. So this is an example of a little app that you're going to do at home for one of your first assignments. It says measure like your Chromebook. So you're going to measure it, and it says to measure it in centimeters. So let's say that you found it's 50 centimeters. And it answer 50 centimeters. And here you fill in the rest of these boxes and answer the questions. Sometimes the slides will have drag and drop answers. So over here it has a description. It says, you look over here and you find the word that you think matches that definition, and you're going to slide it over here to where you think it belongs. And so, number 2 is this. Number 3, I think, is this. And this is in the example of the direct worksheet. On this worksheet, I want you to measure the length of these boxes. Now, there's a ruler here that you can slide around. So you're going to slide the ruler up here to this first red line. You get it at the very beginning. And then you're going to see that the line is 9 point, and it looks like here's 9.5, 6, 7, 8. So it looks like that first line is 9.87 meters long. So you're going to flip over here and you would record your answer in this box. Now sometimes for students who are working offline, it'll say, as I said, to work on one of those PDFs. I made an example of one that we're going to do today. I called it Download PDF Practice. So we're going to open this assignment, and you're going to find this in your Google Classroom. I'm going to open it up. And I want to open it up in a new window. And if I'm working offline and I want you to do this offline, we're going to click on the download icon. And we're going to save it in 8th grade science. Okay, now back in here in Google Classroom, there's actually a Google form that looks the same. When you're online, you'll be able to answer these questions based on what you submitted in this Google form. So let's see how that works. We're going to go to Files. We're going to go to 8th grade Science. And here's the PDF that we downloaded. I've made these so that they're editable. You can say, was I able to add a folder called 8th grade Science? I did that today, so I'm going to put an X in that box. Was I able to change the settings for download so that Chrome will ask me where I want to keep a file? I was able to do that. So I'm going to answer it yes. Was I able to create the shortcuts for slides and docs? Well, I have them down here, so I'm going to answer yes, I was able to do that. I'm going to put an X in there. I was able to download the PDF for this form and use it to fill it out, the actual form. I'm going to say, yes, I was able to do that. I will remember to email the filled out PDF, which is this file right here, to Mr. Palmer. I'm going to say yes. Now, if you have to work offline, which many of you will, okay, I don't want you to have to sit at the hotspot and think about your warm-up, or sometimes there'll be tests that you're going to answer this way. I don't want you to have to sit at the hotspot and think about this stuff. So this will be all filled out. When you get to the hotspot, you'll already have the answers in this PDF. When you go to the actual Google form, it'll have exactly the same questions. So here's the PDF that we filled out. Now, sometimes, of course, these are going to be harder science questions, so you'll need to think about the answers. But here you've already done the thinking. I was able to add the folder called 8th grade Science. Yes. I was able to change the settings for Google Chrome. I'm going to answer it on the Google form here. Okay. I was able to create shortcuts and slides. Yes, I was. Okay. What was my next answer? I was able to download the PDF and fill out this form. Yes, I was able to do that. Okay. I'll remember to email the filled out PDF to Mr. Palmer. Yes, I will. And now you can submit the actual Google form. Remember, you have to be online to be able to do that. That's why in some cases, for students who have to work offline, I've made it available so that you can fill out the form in the PDF. And when you get to the hotspot, where you're going to use the internet, you'll already have done all of the thinking so you won't have to sit there for a long time while you put in your answers. And that ends our lesson today on how to set up and use the Google Chromebook and use the lessons in Classroom. As a review, you're going to have to download a certain amount of PDFs. Usually they'll be in all of the things that I said downloads for that week. So if you have to work online, okay, here's that video. If you have to work offline and this isn't available, so I can turn off the internet. So I'm going to pretend like I'm working offline. Okay. If you're working offline, this link to YouTube is not going to be available. So it says the scale reading, put it in, and see, I look here and it says 132.5. So I'm going to put in my answer, 132.5. You would download and save this completed form on your computer. Okay, and we want to put it in 8th grade science. Okay, so I'm going to save it there. Okay. Later, when I go to the hotspot, and you have to submit the answers to your warm-up, you can open up this PDF, and your answers should be there. Okay, we also learned how to take a look at the weekly lesson plan, and I'm going to close everything right now. And if you want to find it, remember we have this shortcut to Google Docs. I click on that because it's a document. Okay, it shows it to me and it's right here. Okay, and even though I'm offline, we can still see this and work on it. Okay, I click on Google Slides, and you need to go back to find the slide I gave you, the one that says study packet. It's right here. Okay, so if I said another day, do a different slide, you can work on it offline, okay, and it'll be available right here. You can click on, if I say do slide 2 or 3, you just click on this and go to the one. Okay, when you go back to the hotspot, the slides will sync automatically, okay, and then you'll submit the answers to any of the Google Forms, or you save your work in a PDF. Of course, if you have any questions, please email me. So, for example, when you get back to the hotspot, you have to submit some answers back to the metric conversion on the actual Google form. You'll have the saved answers, your work, will be saved in the PDF, and then you'll just be able to put in the answers here.